All right, let's make sure everything is working for this one. This one's the big one. All right, let's make sure everything's working for this one. All right, guys. It's your boy Malin. Welcome back to the Madden 26 Dallas Cowboys Rebuild live stream series. I've been, let's just say, grinding off camera for the last probably hour and a half. I didn't want to subject all of y'all to the just all of the stuff that's led up to this moment. But we're finally in the Super Bowl, and we're going to play the New England Patriots. This is the 2031 season, and I want to give you guys a look at the roster. I've been playing the entire season off camera and the playoffs, and believe me, all of these playoff games have been within one score. It's been a really, really tough time to get to the postseason. But Deontay Wheeler has been our quarterback for this season. Julian Lewis is backing him up still. We still got Jeremiah Love, who's up to a 99 overall. He's probably the best running back in the National Football League right now, and we've just run so much through him in the postseason. We've handed it off to him. We've thrown it to him. We're having him be the guy that's led us to this moment. We actually signed Travion Henderson before the season began. He's up to an 89 now. And we have Malcolm Toll as our third-string running back. We got Hunter Lipke, who we brought back from free agency. CeeDee Lamb is still here. I did trade Wingo, as you guys saw, but we do have George Pickens, who's still steady at an 88. And we actually drafted a replacement for Wingo in Jared France from USC. 86 overall in his rookie season. He has been an outstanding third receiver, slot guy, been a great addition to the team. We still have McGriff, Green, and we drafted receiver Brandon Nails out of Minnesota for depth at the receiving position. Reggie Jackson is now our starting tight end because we traded Jake Ferguson to the Cleveland Browns for a fourth-round pick, and we gave him our fourth-round pick for this past year's draft. And Jackson has done pretty well as our starting tight end. He's got superstar dev. But Jorge Romero, a rookie we drafted out of Texas A&M, has been a pretty solid number 2 tight end. Bowery is still our left tackle, but he's banged up. Tracy is the backup to him still. We got a 95 Tyler Smith. We brought back Trevor Keegan in free agency before the season to back him up. Our center is Jake Slaughter, who's been healthy for this season, which has been pretty critical for the playoffs. 86 overall. Nick Sanchez is still his backup at 74. We still have Tyler Booker, who is now a 93 right guard. So we have a 93 and a 95 guard. Our guard position is absolutely phenomenal, in such great shape. And we have Randy Herman backing him up. Right tackle is still Braden Jacobs, who's gotten better to 89 overall. And Nathan Clemens is backing him up. We actually were able to, based on the trade, sign some big names in free agency. We signed Will Anderson Jr., the former Houston Texan, former NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he has absolutely been a huge component of our presence in the playoffs. In a playoff game we had in the first round of the wildcard round against the Packers, he had 2 critical sacks that allowed us to win that ball game. Enrique Ruiz is gotten better, and he is now the second-string edge rusher. Obviously, I brought back Van Ness, but he's pretty much third stringer, and he won't be back after this season for sure. But if we win the Super Bowl, the series is over, so we'll see what happens. Peter Woods, 89 overall, has gotten better. Peterson is still his backup, and Jay Richardson we drafted this year out of Tennessee, and both these guys are 73. Defensive tackle was the biggest area I felt like we needed to get better. And we went out and we spent the big bucks. Just like with Will Anderson, we spent big money on the defensive tackle starter, Nnamdi Madubuike, 11th-year man out of Texas A&M, the former Baltimore Raven. He is now a 93 overall. He was one of the top free agents available this past offseason. He's now been our starting defensive tackle. And Owen Stanton has gotten a little bit better out of SMU, 76. Eric Tofa has gotten better, and we did draft these 2 guys, Baisley and Ventura, for backups at the defensive tackle position spot. So they've been helpful. Jockus is getting better at 88 overall. Will Kirkpatrick is still backing him up. Luke Thigpen has been healthy this whole season. He hasn't gotten hurt like he did last year. That was a big negative. And he's up to an 87. We have Austin Keys, and we have Jay Higgins as his backups in the middle. Now, Josh Sanchez, unfortunately, has been hurt for a while, and I don't think he's going to be ready for the playoffs. But this guy, Quentin Durant, has played pretty well in his place. He's already gotten up to an 80 overall, so he's been a pretty solid backup will linebacker. Our cornerback room is still the same. 88 Bland, 86 Ravel Jr. He's gotten a little bit better. Mike Reed is a 72, and we've got Grant Carradine, who is a 70. Coy Parrish, who is due for a new contract this offseason. I haven't been able to give him the one that he wants. I've been trying to work out a deal, but it hasn't worked out yet. 98 overall free safety, and 83 now Dwayne Johnson. He's gotten better. So even our backups at this point, some of them who we drafted, are getting better. Ricardo Jones is up to a 90 at this point of the season, and Jawan Buchanan, a rookie we drafted out of Wisconsin, has already gotten up to an 80, so he's starting to play better. Aubrey Still our kicker, and we have Tommy Doman as our punter. And our long snapper is Nick Coda at 77. Maybe that was the problem. We didn't have a good enough long snapper. But we are in the Super Bowl facing off against the New England Patriots. And I'll give you guys a recap as to how everything went this season. First things first, we finished the season 10-7, and we were the only NFC East team to make the playoffs this year. I did have to jump in and play a bunch of divisional games. I played both divisional games against the Giants, both wins. You know what? Let's go to the schedule to make sure I am accurate. Now, I want to tell you guys that we started this season 2-5. Seriously, we lost our first 4 games, and everything was looking pretty dire. But we got our first win against the Commanders, then we beat the Giants, and then we lost to the Buccaneers, but then we came back and beat the Commanders. This is a game that I jumped in and played. We beat the Bears, then we beat the Patriots, who we actually are going to face in the Super Bowl now. And then I jumped in and played a game against the Eagles that was at home. There was a critical Thanksgiving Day matchup. We unfortunately lost to the Jets by 19 points. But during the back half of the season, we played very well. We went on the road and beat the Golden Eagles, even though they're not very good, a.k.a. the old Arizona Cardinals. Then we came back for a home win against the Dolphins. We beat the Eagles for the second time in a row. I think this is the first season that we have swept the Eagles. It was a tough game, but we still won. And then we beat the Giants. Unfortunately, we lost to the Raiders, but by that point, our playoff spot was pretty much locked up. And like I said, no other team from the NFC East made the playoffs. Every other team was left at home. And as far as how things went in the playoffs, here's what happened. So we took on our old friend Micah Parsons and the Green Bay Packers, who ended our playoff run the year before on the road in Lambeau Field. But this time we scratched and clawed our way to a 17-12 win. We had an interception by the goal line by our middle linebacker, and that was the play that won the game. It could have easily been a touchdown from a first glance, but he made the interception and we won it. We were able to come back from being down 21-7, and we scored 3 consecutive touchdowns and we scored 3 unanswered touchdowns to beat the Vikings 28-21. And then we faced the Rams in the NFC Championship game. And we actually got to play the NFC Championship at home because we took down the number 2 seeded Vikings. Of course, the Panthers had the number 1 seed, but they got blown out by the Los Angeles Rams on the road. So the number 1 team went down in horrible fashion. So we got a chance to host the NFC Championship at home, and we beat the Rams by 10 points. The score was closer than that indicates, because we tacked on a field goal to go up by 10 after they turned the ball over on downs. We were up, I believe, at one point in that game, I want to say 28-18. But we kind of lost a little bit of momentum in the fourth quarter, but we were able to just do enough to win it. And Jeremiah Love had a great game once again. And we are in the Super Bowl mostly because of him. The quarterback, Deontay Wheeler, has played pretty well, too, this season in his second year. He's getting better. Some of the younger players we drafted are continuing to get better, which is a very good sign. It makes my decision of not going with Josh Allen make me feel a little bit better, because he got signed by the Golden Eagles of Portland, the old Arizona Cardinals, and they finished 6-11. So getting Josh Allen, I don't think would have made that big of a difference anyway, and I'm glad we decided not to do that, and we spent the money on guys like Will Anderson and Matabuke, because those guys have made a difference for us in the postseason when it's come to our run to the Super Bowl. That has been Absolutely huge. Well, let's take a look at the Pro Bowl roster. Actually, we shouldn't because we won't have any guys playing in the Pro Bowl. We got a more important game to play. We got the Super Bowl this week against the New England Patriots. We have finally made it to the Super Bowl. So let's take a look at those New England Patriots. I know we already played them, but that was a game that I simulated. I did not play that game. So let's see what the Patriots have. And I will admit, I was flirting with the idea of trading our starting quarterback, Deontay Wheeler, for potentially Bo Nix or Drake May, just to maybe think about getting an established, experienced quarterback and just having that be enough to overcome some of the inconsistencies of our defense, despite the fact that most of their ratings are in the upper 80s or high 90s, at least with our free safety. So, that's kind of made me wonder, what's really been the issue. But Drake May is still their starter, and these are their backups. Their starting running back is a guy named Caden Durham, who is a running back from LSU. He's in his fourth year in the league, and these guys look like they're all made up. Their fullback is an 80 overall. How much was overall? Caden Durham is a 97 overall running back, and they got an 87 backing him up. Well, this is a matchup of two really good running backs. It looks like Love and Durham. So, yeah, and look at that. Micah Hudson, the former Texas Tech Red Raider, is a 93 overall. He was actually a free agent, and I was thinking about trying to give him a shot, but we couldn't afford him, especially with CeeDee Lamb. So they got two pretty good receivers. They actually got three really good ones. They kind of have the same thing as we do, a guy in the 90s and two guys in the upper 80s, including the rookie that we have. They have Kyle Williams and Demario Douglas as their receivers. Their starting tight end, no more Hunter Henry. Max Clare is their starting tight end, who's up to a 91. And Theo Johnson, the former Giant, is an 81 overall as the backup. Will Campbell, now in his sixth season, only up to an 84. That's a little bit surprising. He's not in the 90s. Their left guard, Jared Wilson, who I guess has been there for a long time, is an 86. They got an 82 center, Marion Newkirk, who is a rookie out of Auburn, 82. They got an 83 right guard, Josh Castillo from Michigan State, an 86 right tackle, Monroe Freeling from Georgia. So we got a little bit better of an offensive line than they do. Jack Sawyer is their starting edge rusher. I think he was a free agent this offseason, so they were able to pay him enough money to come and be their guy. And they got a decent backup in Tom Johnson, 86. Thibodeau, the former Giant, he has now been a Patriot. He is an 86 overall and Ford's their backup. Defensive tackle Josh Farmer, 88 overall. They got an 85, 82. They got all 80s at defensive tackle. So looking pretty good there. Crayon, interesting last name, is an 82 Sam linebacker. Their middle linebacker is an 84 Arnett. They got Sonny Styles, who is a 89 overall. I drafted him, I think, in the first version of the Cowboys rebuild when Micah was still here. Christian Gonzalez is still there, probably their top player at 95 overall. They got an 88 Cameron Hill and an 86 Delane. Free safety is Caleb Ranshaw, 86. 85 Dalton Pryor is their starting strong safety, a guy from Oklahoma. Their kicker is an 80, and their punter is an 82 Tommy Townsend. Well, I think we're better on paper than them as far as probably our offense is concerned. Defensively, they're about the same level as we are. They finished the season 9-8. We finished 10-7. So these are kind of average teams that made it all the way to the Super Bowl. So that makes things a little bit interesting as far as the matchups, if you ask me. Let's check out the yearly awards and see if anybody was up for them. The MVP is Dylan Raiola of the Jets. No Cowboys were in the MVP discussion. Coach of the Year, Brian Schottenheimer, did finish fourth. NFC, Offensive Player of the Year, there's no Cowboys in here. Defensive Player of the Year, no Cowboys there. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jared France, our receiver, finished third for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Oh, and Romero, our second string tight end, seventh for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year, no Cowboys there. Best quarterback, once again, Wheeler in his second season as starter did not make the top 10, but Jeremiah Love won Best Running Back in the NFC. Let me see if that happened for the whole NFL. Oh, I can't see that. Right. That doesn't exist. Forgot about that. Best running back. So Jeremiah Love wins best running back in the NFC. Best receiver in the NFC. No sign of Lamb or Pickens. Best offensive lineman, no Cowboys there, despite the ratings we have. Best defensive lineman, no Cowboys there. Best linebacker, nope. Best DB, Ricardo Jones finished 7th. Best kicker, Brandon Aubrey finished behind Tyler Loop from the Golden Eagles for the best kicker. So we only have really one award winner, but hey, Jeremiah Love has been the main guy of our offense anyway, so that has been pretty impressive by him. So let me guys look at statistics for this season as far as how everything's gone. Wheeler almost on 4,000 yards, got 27 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, which isn't bad. Running game, Jeremiah Love actually has not cracked 1,000 yards yet this season, but he has 15 touchdowns. He's averaging 4.4 yards a carry, and the average per game is 57.1, which is pretty good. CeeDee Lamb goes over 1,000 yards, so he had a little bit of a bounce-back season. Pickens had over 800 with 5 touchdowns from each of these guys, but our leader in touchdowns was actually the rookie Jared France. 618 receiving yards. He had 6 touchdowns. And that's the way that our offense was looking in the second year with Deontay Wheeler as the starting quarterback. Well, here we go. We finally made it after 7 seasons. In our 7th season, we have finally made it to the Super Bowl with the Dallas Cowboys. I got to tell you guys something. I did not think it was going to take this long for me to turn the Dallas Cowboys into a team that was in the Super Bowl. Something tells me that maybe the rebuilding process for Madden got a little bit more difficult, because sometimes in these rebuilds, it would only take me less than 5 seasons to finish them. But I'm thinking that now these rebuilds may take a longer time to accomplish. But it really depends on who we get and what we can do. So that's kind of where we're at. So I don't want to come all this way after all the grinding we've done just to lose the Super Bowl to the Patriots. Let's win the Super Bowl and capture championship number 6. Matchup of 2 really good running backs. Quarterbacks are decent, but you got Jeremiah Love going against Durham. Micah Hudson, the former Red Raider, is now a Patriot. And it looks like we're playing this game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. So that looks like this is where the Super Bowl is in 2032 for the year. But the 2031 season, that is where the Super Bowl is being played. We finally made it. Let's finish this game. Let's finish this rebuild.
Air it out on 3rd.
France, the rookie, getting busy early, picks up a first down for us. Play there. All right, but we got another. All right, we did score on our opening drive. Now the Patriots are in a 3rd down situation here. See if our defense can. Probably had a chance to get to Drake May, but he was able to get it off for the first down pass.
Bringing the offense up to the line. 1st and 10. From the red zone on 1st. And he brings it in for a New England touchdown.
That was too easy to touchdown. Thought I had a sack there, but not quite. 3rd and 1.
Back to the well again.
Good job, Love. Way to pick up that first.
Just outside that red zone. It's a gain of 11.
And we score another touchdown, up 14-7. And Patriots are driving again towards the end of the first half. 14-7. They're trying to tie this thing up again.
Working inside the red zone.
And once again, the tight end 85 is wide open for a touchdown. Right in the 3rd quarter after that long halftime. Patriots once again on offense.
3rd and 10. Can this offense get it done?
It's 3rd down.
May off the play fake. And
Incomplete, knocked away by Bland. Good defense. First and 10. Inside the red zone here, and Love picks up 6. He's already at 97 rushing yards. He just needs 3 more for 100, and he might get it on this run right here.
Sure, I love that run, but I'm thinking about some great running backs. In fact, Corey Dillon, who created a lot of negative grades on my play sheet.
And he is at 100 yards. On only 16 carries, too. That's pretty good. Going to the fourth quarter now already. It's tied at 14, but we're on the doorstep of scoring again. Both touchdowns have looked the same to their starting tight end, so right now Claire is eating us alive.
Third and a lone yard coming up.
You gotta be, come on, guys.
Tie game, and they want to be the ones to put this away. They're going for it.
Here we go,
Oh, easy. Travion Henderson against his former team scores a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Love to see it. Of course, the Patriots driving again. Yeah, I did not want to settle for 3. 3rd and 13 for the Pats. Field goals come up. And we get a sack. Will Anderson. That's why we paid him. That's why we paid this man to come and be our starting edge rusher. I wanted to spend money at key free agent positions. We haven't been able to spend money in the past because of those trades that he made. It was huge. And Pickens breaks a tackle, gets a first down. Good time stuff there.
Even 10 yards on the play. And it'll be first down.
The screen.
They're going to try and throw it here. Dumped off to his running back.
Good blocking here, line.
Timeout taken by the Patriots. They're first to 3. They still have 2 to
Patriots have spent their first timeout. They've got 2 left. Haven't even reached the 2-minute warning yet. We're in field goal range already. So we got a chance to at least make this a 2-possession game. Love has over 100 yards rushing, 112 rushing yards. We're on the door. We're on the verge. On the verge of finishing this rebuild with my team.
Back-to-back carries here. And not much more there. He's down to the 15-yard line. Now the Patriots calling their 3rd and final timeout.
They have no timeouts left. We haven't even reached the 2-minute warning yet, so... It's a little bit too late, but couldn't quite get away with Love here. All right, I'm going to let this take all the way down to the 2-minute warning, and then we'll come back and run a play. 2-minute warning. We're 2 minutes away from putting this rebuild to sleep and finally getting the Cowboys, my Cowboys, to their 6th championship. I wish it was Dak. If we had done this 2 years ago, he'd be here right now, but it's got to be a different QB. Deontay, oh my goodness. That stunk. All right, well, I want this clock to tick down as much as I can let it go. Kick the field goal. We're up by 10. They don't have any timeouts left. And they got to score 10 points in 50 seconds. So even though that last offensive play was a bad look, I thought the bootleg might be able to pick up the first down for us. Meanwhile, Mike Hudson almost scored.
I think it's still sinking
But
in
it's
at
over.
different points for each player, Brock. Look at these shots.
The rebuild is complete.
It's a crowning achievement for anyone who steps foot onto the gridiron as kids. Champions.
7 years it took me to get Dallas to the Super Bowl and win it. And it was with Brian Schottenheimer.
In both this game and champs in other sports, right?
Yeah.
Deontay Wheeler,
This is something that was so hard
the
to
first
achieve.
quarterback since Troy Aikman to lead the Dallas Cowboys to a Super Bowl winning championship. I can't talk. I'm just so tired of this series. It's been so exhausting. It's been tough. I'm going to pay my respects to some of the players who were here from the beginning. But a lot of new faces were responsible for bringing us this championship. I wish that we could have had a lot of players here. I wish, Micah Parsons was still on this team, but he's not. And we were able to finally, after seven years after trading Micah Parsons, we were able to finally win it all. Our defense, I felt like every year, honestly, was pretty suspect. But our offense did just enough, and we got a great running back in the draft like 6 seasons ago in Jeremiah Love, and I think that just made a world of a difference. And he's now the best running back in the National Football League, and maybe by the end of his career, he might even be a Hall of Famer. He's the new Saquon of the NFL. So now let's go ahead. I'll go ahead and take a look at some new abilities that have been unlocked. Luke Thigpen is one of the new faces that has gotten better for us. First things first, let's check out the retirements and see who is calling it a career. Let's take a look at some of the overall guys. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is retiring after 13 years. He finishes his career with the Steelers. As far as other players that I'm familiar with, Jesse Bates retires as a Carolina Panther after 14 years in the league. Tyler Biadasz, who we drafted all those years ago, 12 years in the league. He's hanging it up after playing his last season in Jacksonville. I believe he was actually a free agent this past offseason. Alex Highsmith is retiring. So is Zach Bond, the former Eagle, now Jaguar. Fred Warner is probably the biggest name that's retiring this offseason. Roquan Smith. Dre Greenlaw, who I actually tried to sign before the season. We couldn't afford him just with the cap situation. He's retiring. Reggie Gilliam, who we had last year as our fullback, he is retiring. And Josh Allen, after playing 1 season with Portland, is retiring after 14 years. Buda Baker is retiring, former as a Cardinal, and at least he played with one team, even during the move. He played with the same team. Tristan Wirfs is retiring. Quentin Williams, who was a free agent, I was thinking about bringing him in, is retiring as well. And Jake Ferguson is retiring after 10 years. He probably hates me for trading him to Cleveland, but still. It was something that we had to do to just let the new tight ends take over and to, save some money. So it was definitely worth it in the end. Pete Werner, who was not on an NFL team this season, is retiring. He's on one of my fantasy leagues, actually. Christian Watson is retiring. Trayvon Diggs is retiring after I want to see, can I not look at his career, like where he finished? He's one of the originals. I wish he could have stayed, but his contract was weighing us down, and we just couldn't afford to bring in other players, so just had to let him go. Paulson Adebo is retiring. He wasn't on a team this past season. T.J. Hawkinson finished his career as a free agent. Jonathan Taylor finished his career without being on an NFL team. It's crazy. These guys' overalls just must go down. Byron Murphy finished without being on a team. Nobody else I really recognize too much. But anyway, let's take a look at our team. From the looks of it doesn't look like we had any retirements. I could be wrong about that, though. We had no retirements this offseason. A little bit surprised about that. I figure we might have maybe Deron Bland retire, possibly, but still. So I'm going to go ahead and run down the roster, and I want to go ahead and take a look at the originals who have been here since the beginning. So I want to pay my respects to them. Hunter Lipke we brought back for this season. He is one of the originals. I know that we let him go after his contract was initially done after the first season. But Hunter, thank you for doing a good job of being one of the better fullbacks that we've had, especially blocking for this man who changed life in Dallas in the running game. The former Notre Dame Fighting Irish man, Jeremiah Love. Thank you for so much for being a great running back in Dallas. CeeDee Lamb, you're probably going to retire in a year or two. I thought you actually might retire, man. But he is starting to regress. I think he's on the downside of his career. If I was to continue this series, I might look to potentially trade him in the near future if he doesn't retire. George Pickens is an original. Thank you for, we had to give you, several new contracts, but you stepped up when we needed you to, and you did too, CD. I know during this past couple of seasons you really haven't been as productive as you've been in years past, but you're still solid. So we appreciate you for that. Tyler Smith, 10 years, still going strong, 95 overall. Your legacy is cemented with winning a Super Bowl. We'll see you in the Hall of Fame next to Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, and Travis Frederick. Tyler Booker, salute. Out of Alabama 7 years ago. Started out this franchise with you as a rookie, and you've blossomed into one of the best right guards in the league. We have the best guards in the National Football League at 95 and another 95. We're blessed on the offensive line here. Deron Bland, you are one of the originals as well. I wish Trayvon Diggs could have been your running mate for the last few seasons when we started to get better with Deontay Wheeler, but you still have been solid. I think he is starting to really regress a little bit. Like with CD, I might look to trade him if he's going to continue to regress. But thank you for everything, Bland, and I'm just glad that we were able to win one. Ravel, thank you very much. You're one of the originals as well. We didn't get to see you much in the beginning, but you've played better as the other corner, better than Diggs. That's why we traded him, to make room for you to take over as the second corner. And Brandon Aubrey, best kicker in the National Football League, although he is starting to regress in an 84, but he can still make 50-plus yarders in his sleep. So we thank you, Brandon Aubrey, for changing life in the kicking game forever. So not a whole lot of originals left from the first team, but this man did it for Dak. He did something that his mentor couldn't do. And Deontay Wheeler is the quarterback to lead the Cowboys to their first Super Bowl since 1995 and their sixth championship. I've already mentioned Jeremiah Love, how great he's been. Reggie Jackson has grown up really quickly and become one of the better tight ends in the league at 90 overall. We have a good left tackle once again who was better than what Tyler Guyton was giving us. We drafted Borey to replace Guyton. I'm so glad that we did that. We hit on that draft pick. Jake Slaughter was not an original draft pick, but he was a free agent a few seasons ago. He was somebody that nobody really was looking hard at, and 87 overall as a center is not super great, but he's been very steady for us ever since we got him, even at 29 years old. And our right tackle, Braden Jacobs, who we drafted when Terrence Steele was still here, but we traded Steele to make room for him to be the starter. He's been great at coming out of Clemson. He is a real player. Will Anderson, spending the money on him was absolutely key for our defensive line. Enrique Ruiz, you have gotten a lot better in this season, son. You've played better than I thought you were going to play. Van Ness, if we were continued, you would be gone. Peter Woods, I tabbed you as a Micah Parsons replacement, and while you haven't put up numbers Micah-like, you are finally in the 90s club. So after 6 years, you've managed to get to almost the same level that Micah is as far as overall. And these guys have been steady backups. Matabuke loves spending the money on defensive tackle. We absolutely needed to get better at defensive tackle. We needed a real run stuffer and a real good defensive tackle in the middle. But these guys started to play better too. I thought Stanton played pretty good, and Tafoya played pretty good in the playoffs as well. So those guys are solid. Gabe Jacques, that was another home run draft pick we got. I mean, he might only be an 89, but he's a shutdown. He's got the shutdown ability, so he's gotten better every year. And Thigpen, another one we hit on 4 years ago coming out of Georgia. Sanchez, another home run hit, 88 overall. And Parrish, definitely up to a 98 overall. Second highest player we drafted in this rebuild, other than Jeremiah Love. And he is up to a 98 overall now, one of the best safeties in the National Football League. And Ricardo Jones, you're up to a 91 overall. You were definitely worth that second contract after we drafted you all those years ago. So that is the final look at the Dallas Cowboys for this Madden 26 rebuild. We finally win a world championship, and that is going to do it for the Dallas Cowboys rebuild in Madden 26. I started this rebuild I want to say the first week of the NFL season. So this has been a 2-month plus long ordeal. I really haven't touched this in a month, in 3 weeks. But I decided to do this to finally, I just decided, you know what? I'm going to take control. I'm going to grind the hours off camera and make sure that this team is in position in the playoffs. Because, like I said, this season started out 2-5. If I would have kept simulating, I think this team would not have gotten to the playoffs and might have had a tough time if they got into the playoffs winning anything. And those playoff games, they were tough. Like I mentioned, they were tough. But we finally did it. Brian Schottenheimer, first Cowboys coach since Barry Switzer to lead Dallas to a Super Bowl victory. And that is going to do it. I know I've done this outro 500 times in a row, but I always do a Cowboys rebuild to start off Madden. This one took me the longest of any Cowboys rebuild that I've done in any of the Maddens on 2 different consoles. So, like I said, I got a feeling that if I do rebuilds with other teams who really actually need a legitimate rebuild, could use a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, legitimate rebuilds. Who knows how long it's going to take for me to rebuild somebody like the Cleveland Browns. As far as other teams I'm thinking about rebuilding, they are on the list. I did try to rebuild them in Madden 25 last year, but I never even got close to getting anywhere in the playoffs, much less getting to the playoffs consistently. The same thing that happened in those rebuilds was happening in the beginning of this one, where I felt like I wasn't making the playoffs in the prime years that Dak had left. So I was worried that I'm like, well, shoot, this may be a crapshoot. But still. But I don't know what team I'm going to rebuild next. Like I said, like I've said before, I don't like to repeat teams, but I might have to at this point, but we will see. But that's going to do it for this rebuild. I might take a break from Madden for a little bit, and I actually got Wednesday off from work. So I might be able to do some Texas Tech Dynasty stuff tomorrow or maybe Wednesday, depending on how I feel. But you guys will know soon enough. But thank you to everybody who has tuned into all 7 of these live stream videos for the Cowboys rebuild. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.